We're here to talk about creation versus evolution. I'm from the atheist side, so obviously most of what I'm going to talk about is on the evolution side. Since I don't believe in the existence of a God, I obviously don't believe in creation. Right, so that's myself. Actually, I'm more in the area of computer applications. Right? There's the brochure mentioned there, statistics is one of the subjects I teach, but my main area is actually IT. Science is not a magic trick, and science understands its own limitation, and science does not make claims which it is unable to show you over and over again. Now, this links back to the whole evolution question thing. A lot of people like to use this argument that you cannot reproduce evolution. Well, actually, that is not exactly true. The whole evolution thing is the micro evolution, which you believe in. The doctor says I'm wrong. But
that's right. Once again, today's session will take approximately.
I would say that anything that you actually do is a form of self-sacrificing altruism. If you choose to spend time like helping the community, it is time that you could spend something else. There is a certain level of sacrificing sacrifice on your part already. That's the whole definition of altruism. Right? But that's the whole debate that we're having here today. Do you need somebody to tell you that something is good before you go ahead and do it? So in debates like this, I prefer to discuss how an average reasonable person like myself becomes an atheist rather than fire off a list of bullet points that you'll be able to get online anyways. But I'll try to link it to the common arguments where I can. So I'll just go through them really quickly. Number one, the burden of proof or the definition of atheism. Number two, the problem of inconsistent revelation. Number three, the problem of incompetent creation. Number four, that God is simply unnecessary.
All right. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. I'm just sharing the link to your WhatsApp group. Just thank. Okay, I'm still struggling. Wait. Okay, there's some people watching there. If you can share with your friends, so it's easier for them to click the direct link. All right. Thank you very much, Willie and Sean, for coming as my beloved guest for today's show. Today we're going to talk about Malaysian atheist secular humanism. Because normally when people talk secular, what is secular humanism? They don't quite understand. So but I think secular humanism is more palatable in the Malaysian context. So I just put it there. But if they want to know, it's basically the whole thing lah. How are you, Willie? Thank you for joining me. Joining me. Yeah. How are you?
Thanks.
Hi, Sean. For those who are watching live, thank you very much. Okay, Assalamualaikum, Charles. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. Okay, right, today, I hope that you can have a healthy discussion. I hope we can still be friends after this. It's supposed to be a very santai, it's supposed to be, first, those who don't know, you can start asking questions now, but basically the first thing, I just want to know more about Sean, and you must more about Sean and Willie. I think even if you see the first ayat Quran that I put, I think in Islam we believe that God make us different kind races and tribes for us to know each other, not to fight each other. And the best among us is basically the one is that righteous or taqwa. That's different subject, and only God knows that who's righteous or not. And the last one is basically God can make us all intellectual like Willie or forever young like Sean, but God is create us differently for us to engage. But if there's any different, let God sort out that our differences, and while we're still alive, let us race to do good things. And I think that's also part the humanist or MASH objective. Correct me if I'm wrong, Willie. I'll try to talk to Sean because I know Sean is, basically you shadow him. I know you talk a lot. Okay, I'll try to give Sean, but okay, we just go to the point. I think, yeah, thank you guys, Jason, Sean, Mark, and Hasmit. They're all my, I think 11 people are watching now, there will be more. Thank you guys. You are basically those on the FB Live, I think about 10 or 15 second delay between that. We are there. Just be mindful. We can't ask any question, but basically the first one is more about knowing both of these our speakers. Second thing is basically what are their core beliefs, what they're trying to do. And the last one, probably we have a little bit of discussion, I call it, healthy discussion. Okay, without further ado, probably, yeah, Shaun first. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. For those who are watching, I just want to know whether you can guess Shaun and Willie's age. I got it completely wrong. Let's put it there. Yeah, Shaun, over to you.
Right. So in terms of belief that I grew up in Malacca. My parents is a very hardcore Buddhist, I would say. From young, I was brought up, and then they brought me like go to temple and pray and do puja, they call it. So I have a lot of experience with Buddhism because my parents guide me, like bringing me up in that route lah, right?
Okay.
Then in secondary school, I went to a Christian secondary school. During my Form 1 to Form 3, I studied, but I have a class called Bible study, right? So I'm not very well versed in Bible or anything. Not gonna brag, but the whole class was like, it's a small class. So most of the students there didn't really listen to class, but I always get the highest mark within the class, even though I'm not a Christian. So it was hilarious since for a Buddhist to score highest mark in the class, kind of things like that. So
I missed you, Shaun. You went to a Christian class even though you're Buddhist.
Yeah.
How old were you then?
I was Form 1 to Form 3 at that time.
I see.
Right.
You went to church. Which church is that?
No, I have a I went to a Christian secondary school.
Okay.
So it's a private secondary school that in Malacca that is no longer exists anymore. They closed down a few years back, but I study a lot of Christian stuff at that time. I was pretty interested also because of it lah, because I brought in Buddhism and then I have faced Christianity and things like that. So then I also went to temple myself to like meet a lot of other Buddhist friends that I have. Yeah. And then after graduating from secondary school, I came to Cyberjaya right now. And then now I'm here in Selangor area, working and after graduating from uni lah, right?
All right.
So that's it.
Thanks. We can always, it doesn't have to be you can, tukar-tukar. Okay. Yeah, Willie. No, so far they have all got wrong about your age. If you watch in the FB Live, Shaun, Willie?
I have you on for the
but yeah, just please turn off the volume lah.
Yeah.
Keep guessing. Probably you can belanja them if you get them right. Okay. I'll keep it until the end. Yeah, over to you, Willie. Tell me a bit about yourself.
So for myself, I'm actually from Sarawak, right? So I grew up through a lot of missionary schools, very similar to Shaun. So it's a series of missionary primary and secondary schools because my family moved around a little bit. So I also, although family is primarily Taoist or Buddhist, I would say as a young person, I was more seriously a Christian. So surprisingly, even though there are many churches around me, the time when I think I really accepted Jesus as my savior would be through mail order Christian missionary work. So they mail you this material which you read through, and then you can mail them back, and say that you have accepted Jesus as your savior. So there's this thing lah. So that's how I actually got exposed a lot. But I also followed friends to church sometimes. Relatives and whatnot, so I got exposed to a bunch of different churches. So that's actually one of the things that prompted me to think, because there's so many denominations. There's Catholic, which is supposed to be the original. There are Anglican churches around. There's Methodist churches. There's charismatic churches, which are very, very different, right? So these things got me really wondering and thinking. So at uni, I kind of expanded my search and research, if you like, into other religions and whatnot. And then I finally came out an atheist probably towards the end of my university life. So yeah, currently I am teaching in a local university. Yeah, so that's about the story of my life, I guess.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. No problem. Right. If you don't know, I mean, if you just watch just now, there's a video clip that's basically all Willie. He's been debating for the past 10 years. With all sort of guys, I think from, is it 2012? That's your first one. I mean, that's quite, I think, a couple of hours you can watch. I mean, all his argument.
A bit of background on that. That was actually one of the pastors from the Baptist church approaching the atheist community. So they were interested to have a. I mean, of course the idea is to have a conversation, right? But we wanted to do it properly in the format of a debate, because a debate format can be very structured. So it is also very academic, right? So there's less chance of it evolving into something negative. So that's how I started with the thing. We actually gathered and worked through our ideas, and there were a few people who were thinking of trying to represent us, and then in the end they picked me. So from there on, because I had been in one debate, then people started inviting me for interfaith talks and things like that. And Samuel, that pastor who invited us for the first one, he continued inviting us back to have more conversations and so on. So that's how I got involved, actually. To be honestly speaking, I'm just a nobody in the atheist community. It's just like some forum moderator. Yeah, even that was a little bit of an accident over time.
Come on, Willie. Don't be so humble, man. I thought you talked more than your president last time, man.
We don't have much of a structure. Like we were just originally, it's just a Facebook group, and then and there are more than one Facebook group, by the way, around. So it's just that MASH, on the other hand, the secular humanist group is a little bit more organized. So that's us trying to organize a little bit more. But there's the talking part has very little to do with any organized structure in the atheist community or anything like that.
Are you not the president now?
No, I'm not the president. I'm currently the secretary, I think. Yeah, so we are a very, very small group only, actually.
All right, but you're a live member. It's okay. I'm just joking. All right, and never mind. Thank you, Willie, for that. All right, I talked to some friends, from religion people. I think because they told me you don't really understand the religion well. Probably you see some people doing certain stuff, Don't get wrong, both from Buddhist or you were like Taoist or Buddhist, and then what do you say about that, Shaun?
Sorry, what's your question?
They say you don't really know your religion, that's why you yeah.
So I don't think okay. So just now I said I went to Bible study, right, in secondary school. That's one thing. And then there's one more thing is that also during this almost the same period, I went to Sunday Buddhist school. So every Sunday, my parents dropped me off to a Buddhist school in Malacca, one of the famous temple. So they have like these classes from like as young as possible to like secondary school, right? They have classes for every single year, right? Then I went there for a couple of years. I study a bit, on both Buddhist and Christian. I am not super like, if you ask me specific, really detailed stuff, I won't get it. I really here definitely would get more correct than I do. But I would say that I have studied most of the argument on both sides and all sides if I can, I study on, like, I watch debates and online do my research from time to time to see, every side. So yeah, actually I think, right, there is sometime, right, atheists, the one who convert to atheist or secular humanist are more, sometimes these people are more knowledgeable to this all religion stuff because they do their research and everything, right? But just some, right? So yeah.
I kind of agree with that. It's your last statement. Normally the atheists they're more the thinking people. No doubt about that. Rather than like us. To be, but just your first statement, I don't quite agree in the sense that I think the Muslim are even more, they call it structured, they're more dogmatic. We have to pray, fasting, stuff like that. I can only say that only after almost like 40 years, only then I really understand or about my religion better in a certain sense. Otherwise, I just, I was born into, I was conditioned into, I just following people around. Why should I ask so many things, After that, only that I appreciate my religion, and in a certain sense also make me a better person. How about you, Willie? You think you have done enough? Have you asked Dr. Uy or whoever pastor or whatnot on your doubts or queries before you?
I have dealt with a lot of queries and doubts with religion when I was younger. So that's the thing, right? I used to say that there are two types of atheists: lazy atheists and hardworking atheists. Like lazy atheists are just lazy to be in a religion, but hardworking atheists are maybe people who figure it out. But I realized recently, right, that actually somebody who is just being lazy to be a religion, they wouldn't know the term atheist, because atheist is almost like a self-label. It's like there are a lot of people who may not care or believe in a god or religion or whatnot either way, but they don't call themselves atheists, right? If you were like in surveys and whatnot, the most they identify themselves with is like irreligious. Somebody who would be able to say who call themselves atheists would be somebody who is actually well, first of all, you have to look up the definition of atheist, right? Somebody who does not have a belief in God. So you would need to actually be able to differentiate that from other labels like things like agnostic and so on. So and the other interesting thing is that like myself, for example, I have a lot of religious background. I probably have a more varied Christian background than most people. Like I've taken classes like SHAUN on the Catholic thing, the sacraments, baptism, confirmation, and all those kind of things. I have maybe up to primary level education, not super deep, but I've spoken to priests and stuff on my doubts. I ran with Jehovah's Witnesses for a couple of years. So if you have any Christian listeners right now, they'll be going like, oh, that guy has been led astray or something like that. But obviously, Jehovah's Witnesses themselves don't think of themselves that way. I actually find them to be very systematic and very organized, right? So and I studied with them for a period of time. So of course, you can always say there is a limited amount of knowledge that atheists have, but on the broader scale of atheists, you have to remember one thing is that there's no such thing as an atheist movement. Like we are not converting anybody. We're not going around, changing people's minds or whatnot. So the vast majority of people, if you find them randomly on online sites, they will most likely be converts. They will be ex-Muslims, ex-Christians, ex-Buddhists, and so on. And they will have, maybe some of them would have lost interest a little bit earlier on. Some of them would have gone very deep into it. We have a pastor who used to study comparative religion, who is a very active member in the secular humanist circle in Malaysia. So a pastor, who is currently an atheist. So it's a whole mix, I suppose.